Welcome to the Grappling Grappling Rewind podcast.
Welcome to this week on the Grappling Rewind podcast. On this week's show, we are going to recap the 2019 ADCC West Coast Trials. We are also going to recap Fight to Win 101 in Denver, Colorado. We're going to preview Copa Podio Season 6, Fight to Win 102 in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and Brothers 8-Man Jiu-Jitsu. As always, I'm your host, Maine, here with my co-host,
Emil.
How you doing, Emil?
I'm so fucking pumped to cover ADCC West Coast Trials, man.
I'm super excited. It was an amazing event. There is so much stuff to talk about. I think I watched jiu-jitsu from when the event was supposed to start at like 1 p.m. until I think about 1:15 in the morning. And at no point, it was like only 2 points everywhere. I was like, I'm kind of bored. They had some intermissions in there, but formats pretty much running continuously with showcase guys on every single mat pretty much at any point in time. All guys that are like, he has a good chance of winning it. So super exciting. Before we do into that, let's get into some news. Neil, you got any news?
I got no news, man.
Got no news. Keenan's going to put out his lapel guard anthology, I think, coming out in the next couple days. I think that's pretty much the only news that I have. My back's broken.
Damn, dude. Wait, what do you mean broken? Like you're sitting here, you're walking around. Like
So not Christopher Reeve's broken, but like my spine has a chip out of it.
God damn,
And they were like,
dude.
yeah, your back's broken. And I went, haha, wait, what? So,
Fuck.
yeah, the back.
What does that mean, man? Like,
It's probably, honestly, it doesn't mean anything. So I have a broken back, and I have I have degenerative disc disease for 2 discs in the back there.
God damn, dude.
So, and they were like, yeah, it's probably not actually what's causing the problem in your back and leg, though. It's probably something else. So, more x-rays, still trying to figure it out. Not
I'm
training right
sorry,
now.
dude. Yeah,
and
of
it's
course.
so it's not great. So, still doing that, but I lost the bet with Josh that my back is actually broken. So
That's a morbid ass bet.
It's a funny bet. I was like, come on, if anyone's gonna have a broken back, it's my ass.
Yeah,
Like, I'm
evidently.
the unluckiest dude ever. So
Well, I hope they fix it, man.
I hope as well, because that would be great to not be in pain pretty constantly.
I'm glad it's not hindering your ability to podcast, though.
No, it's not. Or watch the trials or Fight to Win. Dude, it was a good weekend for jiu-jitsu. Like,
Jesus Christ,
I was
was
excited for you to come over and like start recording.
I know. I'm always excited to do the podcast, but like I was especially excited this week to come and fucking talk about ADCC trials.
I was like rewatching matches. Like, okay, we're gonna watch this, talk about this. And then I was looking at all the other matches that we're probably not gonna get a chance to cover, and I'm like, God, this is a really good weekend for jiu-jitsu. Fight to Win had their first judo matches as well.
Yeah.
So
You want to get into it?
yeah, let's get into the trials first.
Yes,
All right.
absolutely.
So let's start off with the 2019 ADCC West Coast Trials. This is the second trials for North America for the ADCC 2019 event, and it was fire.
It was unfucking believable. I can't pick a single match to say rewind recommend, so I'm just gonna say go back and at least watch the finals. The finals are fucking bonkers. They were absolutely nuts. Like I'm flabbergasted at what happened here. Like
We had submissions in every
6 out of
single
7.
final,
Every
one final.
yeah, exactly. 6 out of 7 finals had
That's
submissions.
crazy.
That's unheard of.
And after a day of like high level competition, it was amazing. So let's talk about the beginning of the tournament. So there was some issues with it started like an hour and a half late.
Yeah.
It started at like 2:30 when it was supposed to start at 1.
Yeah, well, West Coast,
Yeah.
they're a
Brazilian
little
time.
bit more laid back over there. Yeah, I mean, so first off, it was commentated by Jeff Glover and Keenan Cornelius
Keenan
for
was
a
at
while.
the end,
Yeah, that's
and then I
right.
think Gary Tonin popped on and Sean. It was commentated by like 6 or 8 different people throughout the day, and it was really interesting. You heard people that could keep Jeff Glover on
track.
task for jiu-jitsu and people that couldn't, because there was one point somebody walked away from Jeff Glover and it was just him on the mic, and they're like, oh no, Flo Grappling doesn't want
He's
just
losing
me on the mic
his fucking
because
mind.
I'm gonna say stuff that I'm not supposed to say. So it was great. It was interesting to see the first couple rounds because it was pretty evident. Again, it was a huge event. I think the 66 or 77 kilogram bracket had 112 competitors in it,
Damn.
which is an insane bracket. And but it was interesting to see the first couple rounds. You had like regular tournament matches that you'd see at like a local tournament,
Right.
like guys that really had no business competing on that level, like going and doing ADCC, which I think is really cool. Because you get, like, if you want to go and you want to win the ADCC trials, there's nothing that stops you from doing it.
Exactly. I love that there's a Cinderella kind of like like way of getting in there. And
Yeah.
Josh Hinger actually had some really interesting posts on Instagram about like competing and finally getting and like psyching himself into actually doing it. I think this was his second time. I think he competed in 2017.
He got bronze in 2017.
And so he was like, but yeah, that's dope. That's dope that you can just decide that you want to get onto that level. It's our version of the Olympics. You know, it happens every other year. But yeah, I don't want to belabor that too much. It's fucking awesome. Let's quickly talk about the rules, and then let's get into it.
Yeah, let's talk about the rules.
So
ADCC has some funny rules.
Yeah, they basically split the match time into the first half is no points at all. It's submission only, and then they don't pause or anything. It's just at 5 minutes.
No, sorry, at 3 minutes.
3 minutes. Yeah. And then I think in the finals it's
4 minutes.
4 minutes. Yeah.
So add basically 3 minutes of the 6 minute match for the regulation like bracket that's not a finals match. You go from no points to there are points all of a sudden. ADCC has different points as well.
Right. So for example, taking the back is 3 points instead
and they score the body triangle.
Right. They score the body triangle. Yeah.
And pulling guard is -1 point.
That's right. Yeah.
So it's a different point scoring, and if you're interested, honestly, you should go and find the rules and actually read through them because it is really ADCC rules are their own thing, and all the guys that compete in that rule set talk about. Yeah, it is a funny rule set. It is significantly different than almost any other rule set, and they will not restart you if you fall off the mat.
Yep. So we'll talk a little bit more about that, but let's fucking get into it, man. Let's talk about these results here.
So where do you want to start? What division do you want to start in? Because all the divisions were ludicrous. Some were a little more ludicrous than others, but place you want to start?
Let's read through the winners, and then we can go from there. So 66 kilograms, Nikki Ryan wins. That's over Keith Krikorian. 77 kilograms, John Combs submits William Tackett. 88 kilograms, Josh Hinger submits Stanley Rosa. 99 kilograms, Mason Fowler submits Diego Vasquez. 99 plus kilograms, Nick Rodriguez submits John Hansen. So those are all submissions, by the way, every single one. Onto the women's.
So every single male final ended in a submission.
For the women's, 60 kilogram, Jenna Bishop outscores Nikki Sullivan for the only non-submission finals.
You said like it was a bad matchup.
Nope. It was outstanding. 60 plus kilograms.
For the ladies.
Amanda Levitt submits Maggie Grandati. Yeah. Holy fucking shit, man. I'm speechless. Like these matches were.
Dude, I was on my couch at like 1 a.m. watching these, trying not to like wake up the rest of the people in my house. I was like, holy shit,
got
dude. Him.
Not just submissions, but like some of the most bonkers fucking submissions I've seen.
In like transitions, and like the whole series.
God, dude.
So where do you want to start?
Let's start Nikki Ryan.
Nikki Ryan.
Yeah,
okay,
Nikki Ryan submits Keith Krikorian by rear naked choke.
I don't recall the last time I've seen Keith submitted.
I
don't think he got submitted in 18. I think he has only 2 losses in 18 to Ethan Krellenstein in the trials for the East Coast trials, and then he took a loss at Nogi Worlds at the end of the year.
Both by points.
And I think he was had 84 victories, and he was 84-2 or something that year, or something crazy.
In the East Coast ADCC trials, he submitted his way into the finals.
Right.
Okay, that's fucking nuts. Into this finals, Nikki Ryan submitted his way throughout.
Nikki did have a bye in the first round, which I thought was interesting. We both thought it was kind of deserved, given he'd already been to ADCC as a
Given that he submitted his way and won the tournament, it's well fucking deserved. There's no question about it.
So let's talk about the sequence that Nikki's able to get Keith's back.
Well, I mean, we can start from the beginning. There's a beautiful wrestling kind of leg trip takedown. Like, I was shocked at how aggressive Nikki was.
Yeah. Also, Krikorian had some really good snapdowns and like had a pretty tight front headlock at one point that I was really impressed about, because I don't really think of Krikorian as like a top wrestler, and but he, obviously he can do it. If you can progress in ADCC, you can't just pull guard because you give up that negative point.
Right.
So you see the first couple minutes in ADCC, no one wants to pull guard, because that at this level, especially towards the later ends of the tournament, like that -1 can really, it can lose you a match. So
without a doubt,
all the top guys don't just sit and pull guard.
Right.
So they work for the takedowns.
Surprising single legs from Keith Krikorian. It's great to see him. Like this side of him, at this high level, really going for it. He does kind of like muff a single leg shot, and Nikki's able to sprawl, and he circles around and takes the back. And this is I thought that was really interesting because we've seen Keith Krikorian be really adept at getting out of back control.
Well, he's a 10th Planet guy, and he's trained for years. I think we saw him at a purple belt at EBI.
Right.
Like, he's trained for years in the EBI rule set, and escaping the back when someone starts on your back is a hallmark of his training. We've seen him repeatedly do like we call it an alligator roll. Basically just a spin where you free the hips and free the shoulders.
Rolling really quickly, but here's the problem, and this is actually really interesting, is that in this case they didn't his getting his back taken was not the normal situation that they trained for EBI rules, because he was turtled.
Right.
And that I think played against him a little bit, because now when he's turtled, Nicky takes the back, he doesn't have his normal defense to go to.
Right. And then Nicky gets like the body triangle and then goes in a way that we see the DDS guys do a lot, but also I remember specifically Lovato did this versus Tim Spriggs at Fight to Win, one of their recent matches. He goes for the body triangle, but he goes leg in the middle.
Yes.
And so he controls the outside leg, but on the inward, what's the one I'm looking for? Under the knee.
Yeah, he has his instep under the far knee.
Yeah.
And this by the time Keith gets to the position where he's normally initiating alligator rolls, Nicky's already got really good control of the back.
I was super impressed here with Ryan's ability to fight the hands.
Yeah, so this was really interesting because he started off going really low with the hands. They were like kind of fighting at like the sternum level, and then twice what Nicky does is he snaps his arm out and then he shoots it up high kind of across the face. So he in order to avoid the grip fighting, he just does this quick snapping across the face, like almost like slamming the forearm like into the jaw.
But it's not like Yoshida style where he's gonna like grind the face off. He just kind of he's able to beat the hand fight and just get there first. So I thought this is a hallmark of things you see for high level guys.
Right.
And this is one of we've seen Nicky do high level stuff. We've seen him have good control, but usually when you see him have good control, it's because he's a step ahead of a guy.
Right.
This was a specific moment where we saw Nicky do something that was like, oh.
He took the shortest path to get his fist across, which is...
And he grabs the opposite shoulder.
That's right. So instead of going under the chin, which takes a while to like set that up, and your opponent has time to defend that, he says, fuck it. And he just teleports his hand across the face, and he gets that far shoulder.
Yeah.
And now he's got like...
And even though Keith's kind of pulling against it, Nicky's...
It's too late.
He sucks his shoulders up.
Yep.
And then he locks in the grip, and then he just very slowly works his second hand behind the neck. And props to Keith, man. That dude took a choke
a
while, and you could tell he was fighting it for everything he had.
And
you saw Nicky just like basically go, oh, this is the finals, and just sell out the choke.
Oh my god.
And
dude.
it was beautiful, and it was right over the face. It was I couldn't tell. It was definitely face, jaw. The nose was almost in there, so I'm not sure if it was a choke or if it was like a smother.
Doesn't matter.
It was beautiful. Yep. It was absolutely beautiful technique, and I was super impressed with Nicky Ryan's performance, especially against a guy who is so familiar,
as Keith.
especially so talented in that position.
Yep.
Like, dudes, we saw Ethan get on Keith's back, and we've seen Nicky get on Keith's back, and like other guys can get there, but Keith can shuck guys off the back. Like that's what he is particularly. We've seen him all the way at purple belt and EBI get guys off his back. Like, he is really good at that. So to have Nicky have that level of control on a guy that's trained so specifically for that escape was really impressive.
It's just terrifying to see someone as young as Nicky
evolving
evolving this much. Like he's 17.
17. We had two 17-year-olds in the ADCC West Coast Trials finals in some of the most stacked divisions.
Yep. It's terrifying to see that because now you're starting to see his wrestling game evolve, and that's just terrifying. That's scary as shit. Like there's this young kid who knows what his potential is.
I think Josh talked about it a couple years back. So before I even started at Baltimore BJJ, they had Gary Tonin out for a seminar.
Yes.
Right before I started. You were there.
No, I wasn't.
Okay.
I had suggested it. And they scheduled it for Memorial Day weekend, and I have like every year I'm out for Memorial Day weekend.
That's funny. And so they talked about Gary Tonin talked about he had gotten a text from Gordon Ryan at the seminar, right after the seminar, that Nicky Ryan had broken an adult grappler's foot in an advanced division. I think Nicky was like 13 at the time or something like that, or like
Jesus
14 or something, and he had broken some guy's foot in half at some tournament. And it's like, so that dude's been competing against adults for 4+ years,
Yeah.
and he's been winning, and it's just, I wonder where his ceiling is, because he's a kind of a soft-spoken kid. I want to say kid because he's not technically 18. I wonder if he's going to stay in jiu-jitsu, or if he also has MMA interest like his brother does.
I don't know. I do think that like there's fewer examples of people like getting super advanced in especially like jiu-jitsu and then transitioning successfully over into MMA.
The sport, it's becoming more sport jiu-jitsu-y.
And in general, I mean, just like
There's
MMA
also money in it now.
and also like MMA has evolved, right? Like in
Yeah.
MMA, if you want to be good at MMA, you start training MMA. Like
Right.
you don't train boxing and then this like you
Yeah.
used to.
You're not
like,
a Muay Thai guy that comes over and learns some ground game. You're not like sprawl and brawl is kind of gone
Yeah.
now.
So I mean, maybe he's still super young. So
And he's super talented.
who
So
knows?
I wouldn't put anything behind him. But
yeah. Anyway, outstanding match. Let's talk about the next 17-year-old finalist.
all right, let's do it.
So we have John Combs,
So
who's
what
not
division?
the seven.
Give me the division.
This is 1 second. This is the 77 kilogram division.
So this is one division up. So ADCC has every 11 kilograms, which makes it super easy to remember. 66, 76, 88. Wait, Jesus.
77.
66, 77, 88, below 99, above 99.
So
super easy weight classes. I love it.
So John Combs defeats the 17-year-old William Tackett
By a super deep, almost one-handed guillotine.
Yeah, this was amazing. So this John Combs was definitely dominated this match. I mean, William Tackett had an impressive run.
We've seen Tackett on a bunch of stuff.
Yeah,
we've covered him numerous times on. Was it On It or was it?
I can't remember which competition, but then there was another one where like his brother stepped in. Like he's got an even younger brother who's like 15, who's also fucking dumb.
Who also
good.
looked really good in this tournament as well.
Yeah. So, but that being said, John Combs was incredibly dominant, and at this point, it's Jeff Glover and Keenan Cornelius doing commentating.
Beautiful commentary.
Like amazing, like just great. I mean, Jeff is great. He's weird. He's goofy, but like Keenan
he's real weird.
He's weird.
He's real goofy.
He's also really knowledgeable and like has
but
gone
like
against
low
like
key.
No, I mean like he has lots of stories about like going against all kinds of people, and Keenan is just fucking brilliant. He's a wizard, and Keenan is talking about John here and talking about his overall aggression and how he just like how important that is, and you could see it. I mean, John is able to shoot a Darce and just suck the will to live out of William Tackett for like 4 minutes or something like that, and then just doesn't let off the gas at all.
No.
Like he then switches to guillotine grip, and Keenan numerous times during these finals has like predicts what's going to happen in the future or talks about something that happens in the future. So in this case, he's talking about how John Combs's guillotine attacks are very similar to Josh Hinger's and how he's like...
And we saw that. I mean, we saw Hinger...
Well,
was it Hinger before this or after this?
After, and okay. Hinger... Actually, this happens in the Hinger match. But anyway, he's talking about how much of a pain in the ass this is to deal with when you are dealing with someone who's very proficient with this, because they will not give up that headlock position. They will chin strap you. They'll put you in the guillotine.
They keep turning, and basically, no matter what position you're in, they're never going to give the position up unless you're able to get out of it. And because they're so... into this position, I love this position. Like this, I watch guys like Hinger and Combs like all the time because I play a lot of this same guillotine position. I was hearing Keenan talk about that. I was like, yeah, like I never want to let go of that position. It's really evident, and Combs and Hinger both have that skill to keep that through transitions on top, on bottom, and you see them also maintain top position with it.
Yes,
and they're able to do that. Like
the step over.
The bridge, basically the what's the technique? You have
Sumigaeshi. Yeah. So you're talking about setting them over the head.
Yeah, and then you're able to land on top and mount.
Yeah.
And it's a thing you see. I love that. I've done it.
So John Combs doesn't do that, but Josh Hinger does. But
right.
So in what John Combs does is he does the really beautiful step over. Like he keeps, he chases William Tackett and then really dexterously is able to launch his leg over the far side to prevent any further escape, to get the hips away, to try to alleviate some of the pressure from from the neck, and so he has this arm in guillotine where he's just chasing William and just fucking like cranking away, and then finally William goes for a low single. Like he's able to scramble out, and William Tackett goes for a low single, and John at this point he's able to get that dumb deep guillotine grip and
then
launches him overhead.
You see him fight the hand, and eventually you see him grab over the shoulder, and you're like, oh man, that's gonna be tough. And when you get someone's in a deep guillotine, especially the camera angle they had, you can see how much the head is turned, and there's just no space to be able to pop the head out in the position. And I was super impressed with, again, all these guys in the finals fought to the bitter end on submissions because you've made it through that huge of a bracket. And like the weight of all of these finals matches really came through when you were watching them, because you got like, I had watched this for 12 hours today. Like, you've watched these guys go through guy after guy after guy, and you've watched the matchups get tougher and tougher and tougher. And it's like, these dudes have all had 4 to 6+ matches in the day against tough opponents who've only gotten tougher, and then they've met for this opportunity to win a bid to ADCC 2019. Yeah, and it had that level of like excitement in it for every single match in the finals, because you knew how hard these guys had worked just in that day to get to this point. So dudes were fighting hard to not get finished, which made it even more impressive at the end, because it's not like, oh, my neck's getting hurt. Guys will fight to the bitter end on it.
Yeah. But let's talk about the next match where Keenan's fucking wizardry comes through. This is Josh Hinger submitting Stanley Rosa by Anaconda.
I love to listen to the Atos guys commentate on other Atos guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they're always super, like, they admit their bias a little bit, but they always do pretty unbiased commentary. But they're always, you can tell they're like fans of the guys they train.
Oh, yeah,
like,
100%.
they seem like they like their training partners. And it's really, we heard Hinger at ACBJJ 12 or something like that commentate on his training partner, and it was cool to like hear him be a fan of his training partner. I forget who it was. It might have been Keenan. I don't think it was Keenan though, but he commentated on a guy that he trains with, and it was cool to hear like they're just fans. Like, they like each other. They talk about what each other does well and what they don't do well, and it was really interesting. Yeah, in this match to hear Keenan talk about Hinger.
So this is a 1-minute submission. Josh is able to get Stanley Rosa in the Anaconda. So this is where, Keenan was calling it. Like, he was like, you do not want to allow Josh Hinger to get a front headlock on you. He will guillotine you, or he will take the mount. One or the other. Yeah. There's no middle ground. And this exactly happens. Like, they're kind of like collar tying a little bit. And Stanley at one point just kind of like leans forward a little bit too much, and Josh is able to get the snap down, and he gets the guillotine, and he sits down, and he does the Sumigaeshi roll, where he launches Stanley over him, and
he lands right in mount.
Yeah, but like not in mount, like they're both on their sides. So
you're right. Sorry.
But he hangs on to that headlock, and he's got like, the chin strap, and then alternating between that and like the guillotine grip. And then Keenan literally says, oh yeah, Josh is really great. He'll sit in and force you to defend the choke by rolling. And he does it. This happens a second time. And this time Josh is expecting it. And right during the roll, he uses that to adjust the arm into the Anaconda and sink the choke. It was fucking beautiful.
Beautiful to hear Keenan talk about it, and then beautiful to see exactly what Keenan has seen and obviously knows. And you watch Rosa just change the angle, and Hinger goes, cool, and like rolls with the angle with the arms to just make just a beautiful sub in like a minute and like 6 seconds or something.
Something like that, yeah. And also, Josh is 37 years old. They were like, Josh is doing this for all the over 30 competitors out there.
He just won the World Championships in Nogi this year for IBJJF, and then he just won this. Like, it's impressive. I like also, Flow Grappling did some really great interviews with the finalists and Gordon Ryan and some other people that are up on Flow, and they were talking to Josh Hinger, and they were I forgot, I completely lost my train of thought there. I was going somewhere with this, and then the interviews are really good, and what the fuck was I going to talk about? Like, I completely forgot what I was going to say.
I have no idea. I love Josh Hinger, though, and he's incredibly...
Oh, I got it again.
Yeah.
Sorry, before I forget.
Okay.
Basically, Hinger was really happy to actually win a trial spot as opposed to getting, like, a bid.
Right.
Like, getting, like basically he goes... It seemed like he was like, look, I have enough connections. He did really on the low-key. Like, I have enough connections that if I really wanted to get an ACC, I can, like... ask to get in, and I'm accomplished enough where I'll probably get in. And Keenan also hinted about this on commentary, and it was interesting that like, yeah, he's almost a little overqualified for this event, and it seemed like in the background that maybe that was a possibility, that they're both looking at like, okay, Hinger might get a bid regardless, and Hinger was super happy to actually just get the spot and win the spot. And so it was interesting to hear him talk about that in the interview and to hear Keenan on commentary talk about that. Sorry, back to your point.
Yeah, no. And I mean, so fucking well deserved. Like winning the trials is such an accomplishment in and of itself. I know these guys have fires lit in them, and they want to win the ADCC, championship overall, but like, god damn, dude, these fucking trials are nuts. They're no joke.
I mean,
man.
everything if you go on Flow Arena, which I highly recommend you go. Honestly, get the trial, get it for a month. Like, pay the money to go watch. This event was cool enough, and there's enough cool stuff on there.
Christ.
Go to Flow Arena, and you can look at every single bracket and every single match from every single bracket. I think it's a couple that there's some issue with. So,
for example, in the round of 16, Josh Hinger goes up against Kyle Bame. Yeah, that's fucking crazy.
And then the round before that, he goes against Hernandez. And then the round before, it's like,
hold on and scroll up, because like
he goes against Hunter Colvin.
I think I just saw
after that
Roberto Jimenez.
Yep, Jimenez was in that bracket as well.
Yeah, he gets knocked out by Rosa.
Yep.
That's fucking bonkers, dude.
So you can just look at, like, he had a round of 32 where he had to compete in every single. Like, I watched. It's cool to watch these guys too, because you had the guys that we cover grappling every single week. So a lot of these guys in every single bracket we were pretty familiar with, and throughout the day it was cool because like I'm watching specific guys that I think have a good chance to win. And so Hinger was a guy all day. I got to watch every single one of his matches through it, and you watched him go against Kyle Bame, watched him go against Hunter Colvin, watched him go against John Blank, who is the 185-pound combat jiu-jitsu champion, who's now actually in the combat jiu-jitsu fight night versus Barnett and Samos, because he got the bid
bonkers
when Gordon Ryan got injured. So
you're throughout the trials, you're still like, even in the round of 16, the quarterfinals, the semifinals, you're still seeing fucking crazy matchups.
Yeah, and all of these quarterfinal matchups are guys that you've heard of against other guys that you've heard of. If you're into grappling, for the 66, 77, 80, like every single one of these matchups in the quarters and the semis and the finals was a super fight matchup. And it was insane. So I don't have anything else on 88.
Let's go to 99, because this was fucking holy shit. This is Mason Fowler submitting Diego Vasquez by rear naked choke from omoplata position. What the fuck? What the fuck was that? That was like,
Emil, you're letting it fly this week.
I just like, in general, like, we don't see omoplata and nogi
ever. Well, he didn't finish the omoplata.
Well,
I'll have it said.
That's probably because like Vasquez wasn't tapping when his fucking ligaments were completely ripped out of his shoulder. Like, his arm was way behind him.
It was sideways.
It was in a position where Mason Fowler was able to get completely behind him.
Yeah. So Fowler gets. So let's talk about the finish here.
Okay. Yeah.
Fowler gets the omoplata, and everyone who does nogi knows the omoplata is almost an unfinishable submission in nogi.
We can talk very quickly about the setup here.
Okay, talk about the setup first.
So Mason is in knee shield half guard, and Diego's like kind of like leaning into him to pressure pass, and there's that like push pull moment where Diego kind of sinks in to pressure pass, and then Mason pushes him back with the knee, and Diego's head is low, and Mason's able to just pummel his leg out and over into the omoplata position. It was slick as hell. And at this point, this is another Keenan being a wizard, right? Because Mason has the omoplata position. He has the arm over the back, and Keenan says, yeah, if he connects his hands around his neck, and like Mason was listening to him, he adjusts his arms.
And they were talking about he was going for something called like a pin lock. Basically, if you go on the knuckles over the eye socket, it's like an old wrestling technique or something.
So it looked like
I know this is an Imanari, by the way. The choke that he finishes, if you have someone behind and you're in either a back crucifix position or in an omoplata position or something like that, and you lock your hands reversed like this and you go for the choke, I know that is an Imanari choke.
Okay. Well, either way, this was nuts. So he's in the omoplata position, and then he, instead of keeping his arm over the waist of Diego Vasquez, he just connects his arms in a gable grip across the face, like Twister style. The grip that you get to finish a Twister?
Yeah.
It's exactly like that. And he did it right after Keenan was talking about it. And like Keenan was losing his mind. He was like, "Oh shit, he's got his hand across the eyes."
He and Glover were excited to watch that, and that came across in the commentary.
Oh yeah, and then he starts just yanking. He just starts yanking the shoulder back, and Diego's flailing around. I would be shocked if there wasn't any damage that happened as a result of that. But Diego,
some guys actually have flexibility, Emil. I'm not one of those guys,
dude,
but some guys do.
I don't know.
It was
that
super
far
deep.
behind the back. That looked really uncomfortable, but it didn't matter because Mason Fowler was able to get the fucking choke anyway.
Yeah, he gets that Imanari style choke and gets there. It was again another insane submission in the finals of the 99 kilogram division. And like you look through this entire bracket, it's like, and the 99 kilogram division was maybe a little less stacked with names that you were as familiar with, but still, like you have round of 18, round of 32, quarterfinals, semifinals. Like all of these guys had to go through a bunch of other dudes to get to this point. And to get a submission in the finals is just crazy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Want to move on to the plus 99 and the craziness that was this finals match?
Yes, this was holy shit.
Nick Rodriguez is, and they said in commentary, he's a
blue belt.
He's in quotes there. Okay,
We
can bullshit. He's a D3 like wrestler who looks like he should actually be in the plus 99 kilogram division, like jacked. Everyone in ADCC, or like almost every match, there is a shirtless dude. Something about ADCC dudes take the shirt off.
Yeah, dude.
I love it, man. It's just there's something about that just like you see dudes in like the long past the knee shorts and shirtless going for like wrestling tie-ups. That's what ADCC looks like to me. And Nick Rodriguez is exactly the kind of guy that I want to see in an ADCC's trials finals.
I can't wait to watch this dude because
so he's a blue belt that's been training for 9 months.
8.
Okay, we're splitting hairs. So that means he was in the semifinals of the trials for the East Coast trials when he'd been training for like 6 months.
Jesus. So he submits John Hansen by rear naked choke, and this was fucking bonkers. So he starts off with an awesome arm drag to single leg to get the takedown, and John just is like, all right, I'm going to take seated guard. This is, early on in the match. There's no points. Who gives
so he gets
a
the
shit?
takedown, but so they're on the ground now finally, but there's no points.
Yeah, and it's not like Nick has a dominant position. They're disengaged, and John Hansen is seated and like perfectly fine.
And
he didn't lose any points at all.
Yeah, you see Nick trying to pass, and then he pulls back.
He didn't pull back. So this was incredible. I'll quickly describe what happens. He launches into the greatest fucking cartwheel back take I've ever seen, and then rear naked chokes him. Now, I had to watch this over and over again, pause it, to figure out how he actually got the cartwheel
past. It's a cartwheel back take.
How many times have we seen that fail, though? And I figured out
all the time.
I figured out why this technique worked.
Okay,
so
why'd it work?
So here's what happens. Like, imagine
Emil's just pulled out his chair, by the way. We're getting serious.
Well, okay, so he's standing. This is Nick Rodriguez is standing. John's seated on the ground, and they begin grip fighting. So Nick with his left hand gets wrist control, and John just lets him get it. Like he doesn't care. And then with their other hand, they're doing that weird like fingers
the interlocking fingers thing where it's like nobody really wants to commit to a grip. No one's going to give a wrist grip. No one's going to put palm to palm. So they do the interlocking fingers grip, like a staple grip almost.
Right. Okay, so then what happens is Nick yanks his arm out of the like interlocking fingers grip,
which is kind of how you break that grip.
Right.
It's not nothing unstandard there.
He's keeping the wrist control with his left arm, and then he dives, and he goes head first. His head goes on the left side so his head goes to the same side that he has the wrist control, and he goes basically vertical, and he plants his free right hand also on the left side behind. And so what he does is when he's launching over John's head, this is what makes it successful. He balances on his sort of like pec and sternum on the back of John Hansen's head. And so he basically folds John Hansen a little bit. And John
he can't posture and turn.
He can't turn. He can't track him. And he just does this amazing athletic leap around. But really, it's almost like a breakdancing spin on with your sternum on top of your opponent's head, and you fold them just enough. Like you're not completely folding them in half, but they can't track you. And so he gets around to the back, and he has with his left hand released the wrist
Forearm grip. Yeah.
the wrist control, and he's kept that arm on the front side of John, and it's already in choking position.
Yeah.
So he basically lands behind him in a squatted like athletic stance with his arm already in the choking position. It was like it was textbook. I've never seen a cartwheel pass like that. It was fucking incredible. So
it was crazy, and then he gets the back, and then he gets the choke in 1:50.
Yeah, it was
crazy to watch. And you watch, and this is the +99. So these guys are known for being. I don't know why they're known for, like, some people on this show think that, like, they're not, as exciting, and they're usually slower matches. But Emil, you're wrong. You're wrong about this. This was a fire match. This was exciting as shit.
It was fucking outstanding, man.
But again, we saw two dudes that were athletic. Like, Nick Rodriguez is a guy that should legitimately be at +99. He's not a guy that just didn't decide to get in shape and doesn't want to cut the weight. Like, he's a dude that will probably have a hard time making a 99-kilogram division. Like, he's a legit above 99 guy.
Right. And I mean,
and they can do just physically different. Like, Tex Johnson is another guy that, like, is a guy that's not making under a 99 unless he's, like, really going to cut. He's not a fat guy at heavyweight. He's, like, an in shape dude at heavyweight. And we're starting to see guys that are really dominant at heavyweight be those dudes that are like, okay, you're a legit, like, heavyweight. Like Gordon Ryan now. Yeah. Like, Gordon Ryan's not making under 99 anymore.
Well, the other thing is, like, that's incredible is, like, his skill set is perfect for ADCC. Like,
heavy pressure wrestling,
athletic
young,
wrestler,
athletic.
Like, just has enough jiu-jitsu. Like, who was it? Weidman, I think, went into ADCC with, like, only like a few months of jiu-jitsu.
Yeah,
and
2009, 2007, and he had to fight Galvao.
Yeah,
and they called him Weidman the entire time.
Yeah.
Go back and watch that matchup. He goes for Weidman goes for a Peruvian necktie at one point, and you're like, what the hell?
Yeah, no, and
exciting matchup.
He'd only been training for months too, and
but
so
he had that heavy pressure.
I mean, he's a wrestler, right? So that's
ADCC is a rule set that really, especially with the way the points are structured and the negative for the guard pull, is really structured around top pressure wrestlers and excitement.
Yeah, and the other thing too is that I love this mixed rule set, like where half of it is submission only and half of it is points. Like, it means that, like, you can't go in there with, like, a specific game in mind, because there's going to be sections that are submission only,
right.
and those submission hunters are gonna have the opportunity to do really reckless shit and threaten you. And
you have half the match
right.
to get into the spot that you want to get into.
Right.
But I do like that it forces you to. I mean, unless you want to take the negative, it forces you to, like, play the takedown game and not be super passive. It, like, one of those guys typically will engage and wants to get that takedown because they want to put you on a bottom position.
Yeah.
And it's just really, because if you're in a bottom position and they get past the legs, cool, like, they're in a better spot because it's super hard to sweep in no-gi.
Yeah, and so I don't know if this is the reason why Mateus Lutz said that ADCC rule set is his favorite when I talked to him after his match. Yeah, SAGC 7. But I'm beginning to appreciate the fact that you have mixed rules in the same round, that it makes it more difficult to have a specialization.
We've seen Third Coast does this. We've seen more and more organizations now doing this mixed points, no points rule set. And I like it. Like,
it might disrupt the gamesmanship a little bit.
I mean, ADCC's been doing this for a long ass time, but it's never really caught on for other super fight organizations. I'm not sure really why, because we have seen boring matches in ADCC. Like, everyone kind of forgets the matches that are just like push. Like, but I think
I don't, my friend. I don't remember. I don't forget Orlando Sanchez.
And Tom DeBlass.
Yeah.
Where he laid on Tom DeBlass. And Tom DeBlass looked at the camera and looked at his coaches, put his hands up like, what do I do? He's laying on me. And Orlando Sanchez was like, I'm laying on you.
That's right.
But no, I like the rule set. I like the difference of it's submission only, but then it goes to points. So you get a clear defined victor. Also, if there's no points, they go to that overtime, where you go to like you go to a scoring overtime, which I like as well. So you get a de facto, and there's a couple matches that went into like up to 10 minutes because you have a 6-minute match and a 4-minute overtime. And we saw that a couple times, but nothing, I think, in any of the quarters or in the finals. I know nothing in the finals. Nothing did that.
Yeah, it was fucking awesome. I mean, just so we can go on to the women's divisions now. So for the 60 kilogram, we have Jenna Bishop defeating Nikki Sullivan by score. So, and these points came off of, again, another fucking amazing arm drag to single leg.
Yeah. Takedown.
Yeah.
Like you're getting takedown points. And like you won ADCC trials on a takedown. This is a super fun match because, again, Keenan trains with Nikki Sullivan and so knows her game, talked about it, and he was super complimentary of her game and was really impressed with her. I think she just got her black belt. Like, real recent. I think we talked about it on the show within the last month. I could be incorrect, but I think she's a brand new black belt and, you know, been a monster at Brown. Jenna Bishop, also a monster grappler. And so, yeah, fun matchup. It was definitely, I think, of the finals, the slower matchup, but I was super impressed with Nikki's flexibility here and her ability to regard and like a lot of really, really technical no-gi work.
Yeah.
And Jenna was so close to passing so many times, and Keenan's really, really good at explaining exactly what Nikki's doing because he trained with her. And so it was, again, cool to see a finals match where you have a competitor from the same team that knows the game talking about it. It was,
right.
That's why I think
it's very detailed.
Even though this isn't a submission, I think this is why it also makes the Rewind Recommends list as part of all these finals because
I mean, they're all fucking exciting.
It was a really, really good matchup. You saw two high-level women like put on a performance, and it was a good weekend for women. Fight to Win was also headlined by another female match, so it's great.
Well, we'll end with holy shit, Amanda Levis submitting Maggie Grandotti by armbar.
And this is in the plus 60 kilogram division for the women.
This was so fucking dope. So basically, they're both standing, and Amanda lets Maggie get a collar tie, and
she keeps doing it.
Right,
and we've seen repeatedly she keeps going, and she looks like she's like shucking it and looking for a Russian.
Well,
but she's never
She
committing.
doesn't shuck it. So
I'm talking about initially, like earlier in the match. You see this. She does this repeatedly, and I'm wondering, like, why does she keep giving Maggie like inside collar tie position, and then she kind of starts shucking for the Russian, but never really committing super hard on the Russian. And the Russian is basically when someone has a collar tie and you angle and pop their arm off, you basically will put both of your hands on the forearm and the bicep,
and you hold it to your chest,
and you're looking sideways at the person. But Amanda, and I'm like, okay, Maggie's really athletic, and I feel like she deals with Cyborg, who also does this, like. It's going to be really hard to get that on her.
So here's what happens. Amanda is letting Maggie collar tie her, and then she just she rests her arm on the bicep of the collar tie on the outside, just resting it like, she could, as you say, shuck it, if she wanted to be athletic, but she was just letting it hang there, and then she gets her own, with her free hand, she gets her own really hard collar tie and snaps Maggie's head down. And she, at this point, like, has a very strong monkey grip on that bicep of Maggie's arm, and she leans back, sits down, kicks her arm over into an armbar position where the arm that she had the bicep cupped was the one she was attacking.
It's like it's a pendulum armbar.
It was
basically.
A pendulum, yeah, exactly.
And it's beautiful, and I love it because it doesn't, especially in no-gi, you don't have to make that jump for the jumping armbar, because the jumping armbar really only works effectively if someone has a cross-side collar tie.
Right.
That's really like it. If you're going to jump, that's kind of the grip you need them to have, or you've got to force like a really funny, kind of like this grip, but if you're going to do the pendulum armbar, it's way less risky, and if you pull them down like you're going to do a snap down, you can throw your hips into place and basically have them fall over you, and that's exactly what happens. I watched it a couple times, and it's beautiful.
It was such a good
grabs
finish.
It, turns under, and
just sets the legs perfectly.
Beautiful.
Oh my god!
I'm a little upset that there's not an alternate camera angle because you couldn't see any of the hand fight going on, and you see Maggie trying to escaping, but you can only see the back, and you can only see how deep the arm is. So that's my only kind of gripe, is I would have loved to see the other angle or a different angle of this to see what sort of hand fight was going on. But beautiful technique, and it's a really fitting way to end the 2019 ADCC North American Trials West Coast Trials.
Absolutely.
It was awesome. Highly recommend you go back and watch. Again, go to Flow Arena, pick the name. Again, this is where we kind of talk about, like, Emil and I and Josh and Matt and Ryan cover a lot of grappling. We watch a lot of grappling. Go back and go to Flow Arena. Go find the bracket for this, and go and click on all the people that won and then all the people that were in the finals, and go watch their run-up and their lead-up to this, and you'll see them go through some really high-level competition, and then pick some guys that you like, and go and watch them. It's a really quick way to go do match study on like what the current meta is for what wins these kind of events, and the techniques that people use, and you'll see the variety of techniques that people use in this sort of format. So a lot of fun. Go back and watch it. It was amazing. I very rarely am happy to spend 12 hours watching an event, but this one was worth it.
Hell yeah. Absolutely fucking amazing.
So on to our recap of Fight to Win 101 in Denver, Colorado. I almost couldn't figure out where it was. This event paid a total of $24,550 in salaries and commissions and was headlined by black belt Tracy Goodell defeating Vanessa Wexler via loop choke. That was Fight of the Night for the black belts. Where do I start on this one?
Start from the top.
All right, so Tracy Goodell defeats Vanessa Wexler via loop choke. That was Friday night for the black belts. Tracy Goodell becomes the Masters female bantamweight champion in the gi. And we saw her compete back-to-back weekends. We saw her in Hawaii, and we saw her here.
Yeah, she's been super active recently. Definitely outstanding competitor. Well-deserved.
Yeah, looks really good. It was interesting. I think we saw Vanessa Wexler get Tracy Goodell sets up, a loop choke from the closed guard on the bottom, and is able to get Vanessa Wexler with this. I think we also saw Vanessa Wexler get hit with either a loop choke or with a cross-collar choke from the guard in Philly when you and I were there.
I can't remember.
Yeah, I think it was. So it's interesting that this seems to be something that Wexler keeps running into in Fight to Win, and I just thought it's interesting because it's a very, very specific technique from the guard,
right? And
you don't see a lot of people go for it. And
well, I mean, like if you keep your head forward a lot, it's the same thing with guillotines. Like there are times when you get into a bad habit and you will get guillotined a lot. Right. Loop choke is the same mechanism there. Yeah. Like, you put your head forward a little bit too much. You're leaning forward a little bit too much without, respecting that. It's
but Goodell locks it up. Like, again, there's not a whole lot from a technical perspective to talk about. It was just like grabs the grip, turns over, pushes the head down, goes like Japanese finish on it, gets the choke. Really great. Next match.
Mike Nichols defeats Ray Ron by decision.
Then
Valor Caballero defeats Sergio Castillo by electric chair.
And that was submission of the night for the black belts.
That was it was an amazing submission. It came on so slowly. It was interesting.
Oh yeah, no. Like, I watched it. I was like, oh, he's gonna get it. Oh, he got it. Okay.
Yeah.
that was kind of my reaction watching it. I was like, he's going, and the commentators knew he was going for it. Like everyone knew he was going for it. It was just like, okay, he's going for it. Can you stop it?
Oh yeah, no. I mean, the electric chair, like it is sometimes like against people who are really proficient with it. It's very fucking difficult. It's very destabilizing. Like you end up having to post a lot, and the moment that you post with an arm, they're getting under you, and you are fucked.
Yes,
you are absolutely fucked. And unless you are, one of those like ridiculously like flexible people, you're gonna fucking tap.
Yeah, and most people aren't that guy.
Right.
Like it's just there's a different level of flexibility to be able to deal with that that leg position in that way, and I can't do it.
The last person that I could see that like didn't submit to it that I the major event was there's the Eddie Bravo rematch with
Hoyler.
Yeah, Hoyler.
Hoyler.
Yeah, like he gets him into a deep fucking electric
chair.
And
Hoyler's looking at him like...
Hoyler is that...
I'll die.
He's like, I'm that flexible.
Yeah, and
like,
the commentators from Metamoris were talking about like, he does this like every day before class. Like he just warms up with one of these like positions. And it's like, Jesus. And you saw like Hoyler just like... And it looked like it wasn't comfortable, but Hoyler was just looking at it like...
fine. Like,
nah, I'll be fine.
Meanwhile, I would have been screaming, but...
Oh, yeah, no. So that was deservedly submission of the night for the black belts.
Then we have Brian Sparrow defeating Philip Fitzpatrick by decision. Evan Barrett defeats Justin Downing by decision. Seth Daniels defeats Kuhio Tabankura by Kimura.
That was good.
That was a fucking awesome setup.
So Seth walked out with there's a backstage. So I love Fight to Win does this. They on their Instagram they post a bunch of like interviews and backstage footage and Seth had a little interview after the fact. They talked about it and was. I like that they do the behind the scenes stuff with the competitors. And Seth talked about he doesn't pass the half guard because he can't or something like that. It was something great. Like he's like, I don't believe in passing guard.
It was hilarious because that actually happens, right? So Seth hits an awesome fucking outside leg trip. Like
because he's doing Fight to Win judo coming up.
Yeah.
And he is I don't think he's had a judo match in 12 years is what he said, but he's prepping like he was on the US national team, I think. He was out at the Olympic Training Center in Denver, Colorado for years and like he's a high level judoka. Like you could
tell like the way he goes for the trip is it's not like a scooping one. It's one of those like you with the bottom of your foot, he hit him pretty high, like
and he apologized for it. It's a leg kick.
Yeah, it's a leg
basically.
kick. But like it wasn't.
I think he calls it the James Brown, is what Seth calls the sweep. But you see him, he has a footage from Pans like 2009, 2007 as a purple belt where he just like slams this guy with the most textbook version of this sweep ever. And this is a sweep that Seth's done for years and years and years and years. If you ever watch him on Fight to Win, he hits this sweep pretty much every time unless somebody pulls on him.
Right. And you could tell how comfortable he was. So he's on top here, and he's kind of in top half guard, and he starts immediately attacking the Kimura, but then he like lets it go. He's like, fuck it, and he gets into this sort of like Marcelo like reverse half guard, like top half guard.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
where he's just laying across the body, and he's got his back exposed, but he's still in the half guard, so you can't really take his back from there.
Right. And so he starts fiddling around with the feet, but it was just as a diversion. So so Kuhio goes to defend his feet. He starts fishing his arms, and without even looking, like almost like behind his back, like Seth just grabs Kuhio's arm and yanks it forward, and now he swims his arm back into the Kimura position, and then he's exactly where he wants.
By the way,
one of the four moves he does.
I think this is on Seth's DVD. Seth only knows 4 moves, and he has this foot sweep to this like Kimura. He's got some twister stuff which sets up from pretty much the same position.
Yep.
And but like he knows 4 moves, and he's a black belt in those 4 moves, and it's a really impressive. And it's I love watching Seth compete because you watch stuff that's like he shouldn't be doing that. It worked. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, but you like. He was so practiced, you know, like,
dude,
he knew, okay, I just fuck with the feet enough. He's going to react. He was ready for it. He just grabs, he gets wrist control of the far arm, and then snakes his other arm around back for the Kimura position. It was fucking perfect.
The day or 2 days before this, Seth had like 12 cortisone shots in his neck or something like that. And then he has it on the Instagram, Seth Daniels Fight to Win Instagram. He has it of like, you see him putting the needle into his neck. He lost a bunch of weight for this. Like, dude, I love watching Seth because he like talks about the process on his personal Instagram and like walks you through like what he did, and I was preparing for judo, and like fun guy to watch. We love watching Seth, and he runs Fight to Win.
I hope he stays
Troy
healthy,
announced
man.
him out, which was funny. I always think it's funny. It's usually always Troy that announces him out because Seth is a commentator for Fight to Win as well. And you always hear Troy like come on and announce Seth out. And he walked out with his kid, and it's like good to see him get a win at black belt.
Hell yeah.
Next match.
We got Philip Miller defeating Dielson Pimenta by split decision. Kevin Lewis defeating Mark Genko by decision. Angel Lopez defeats Jeremy Adler by decision. Philip Leitz defeats Justin Curtis by armbar.
And now into the black belt judo results.
This was fucking great. This is the opening judo event. Like it was fucking awesome.
This is the first time that Fight to Win has done a Fight to Win judo event. And if you don't know Fight to Win judo, Emil and I have been amped about it since it was announced, talking about it. This is the first event. You win this event. You win this matchup in the Fight to Win rule sets by either 2 ippons or by submission. And so an ippon, if you're not familiar with judo, basically an ippon is a throw that results in the opponent landing flat on the back, typically on the shoulders.
A clean throw.
A clean throw is basically, and there's like various levels of those, like waziri, and there's like there's yoke. There's like a bunch of different style, like scoring points for throws, but the ippon is the winning throw in judo. So instead of just winning by ippon, Fight to Win judo, you have to do 2 of them. You can also do stuff like leg grabs. It's old school judo, like, so they're not going to ban shots and other stuff like that. It's like what judo used to look like.
You actually saw a shot off the back. It was awesome to see. I think it was Ryan shooting for a single leg.
I think so, yeah.
And it was fucking great. I was like, this looks way different from other judo. And then
it also looks different from jiu-jitsu too.
Yeah, it does.
Like you saw, like, oh, this doesn't. But I think both the guys were black belts in jiu-jitsu as well. But I know they were both highly decorated judokas.
You could tell it was different because they did not give up the grips once they got them.
No,
not even like nothing. No readjustments.
Yeah, judokas will live and die with those. If you ever trained with anyone who has a judo background and that, like, legit, like, not just like trained some judo, but like trained like judo heavy, they grab that collar grip. Good luck.
Yeah,
you need to, like, if they don't want to let go of that grip, good luck letting them let go of that grip.
Yeah, no.
We have a guy in our club that trains. It's a judoka kid.
Yeah.
And I always have him like being in class, like, all right, we're showing some throws, and I walk him through like what throws I want to show, because like his throw knowledge and his technique on his throws and his drills for the class are like way better than what I could show. So I'm like, I'm not even gonna. He's a white belt in jiu-jitsu, but I'm like, I'm not even gonna pretend like, you know, I have the knowledge. Like, you have better throws than I do. I want to learn the throws, so you're gonna teach us the throws.
Hell yeah.
So this match, Ryan gets, and this is, again, I need to watch more judo. I've not, we started doing the show a couple years ago.
So do the commentators. This is actually really interesting because now they're going to, if they want to make judo a major part of the event, they're going to need to get commentators who have better knowledge of judo. During this, there was an unclean throw, if you want to put it that way.
It was Ippon. I mean,
no, there was one earlier.
Oh yeah, okay.
And one commentator goes, "Does that count as a clean judo throw?" And the other one immediately was like, "Hell if I know." And
Yeah.
it's like,
but I do like they were honest. Like,
No,
that's
they're
one
honest.
thing I love
I get
about
it.
Fight to Win
I'm just
commentary, is
saying,
they're
like,
honest.
it's like, okay, you know, I hope this continues to grow. I love watching judo. I think it's great that it has a professional venue, and you know, hopefully, like, you know, get some people that can talk both. We have those now. You know, like they're starting to see more and more high level judoka, Olympic level judoka.
I'm
getting
hoping
their black belts
they
in
get Travis
jiu-jitsu.
Stevens back, because they've had Travis Stevens before in Fight to Win in like jiu-jitsu matches, but I'm hoping that they get him for a judo
straight up
match,
judo, yeah.
because that'd be great. So Ryan is basically able to get 2 Ippons in this match, and the reffing on this was a little odd. Again, this is the first time they've done a judo match.
So the
I was a little confused. Everyone was a little confused. The ref was a little confused. The competitors seemed to be a little confused.
So yeah, the final Ippon that Ryan scores is he's got Javier like kind of like pushed into the very corner, to the point where the ref actually has to push Javier a little bit to keep him in bounds.
Yeah, because they fall off the mat once during the matchup.
And actually, I think twice.
I think they both fall off the mat once,
yeah.
and they're like kind of a little off another time, but they're off the mat completely one time.
So, and Ryan hits this throw while the ref is like holding Javier in bounds, so it just felt like a little
But
weird.
he finished the Ippon portion of the throw, the actual turnover to land him on the back.
Without
Without the ref being there, so I didn't really have a problem with it.
Yeah, exactly.
But it was
It's
definitely
just like
it's a new thing. I definitely want, after seeing it this time, I definitely want to see more of it. Because like you see techniques you just don't see done in jiu-jitsu because guys aren't good enough to do it.
Not
and these
just
judo
not
guys
good enough.
are good enough to do it.
You know, it's just that, you know, the points aren't worth it. Like, what is that much effort for 2 points? 2 points where you don't necessarily even land in a favorable position.
Right.
Like, it's dangerous. You know, if a throw was worth 8 points, you'd see a lot more people in jiu-jitsu
getting good at throws. Getting good at double legs.
Yeah, exactly. You know,
again, I really enjoyed it. It's cool. Like, I like watching judo. We initially, when we started the show, we're covering judo. And then it became very clear very quickly that we could not cover, because initially we started the show, we didn't have the event list. So this is kind of, again, this is not related to Fight to Win. This is just related to our show. We've initially started doing sambo, judo, jiu-jitsu, sumo, and I think that's it. And then the first couple months we realized, like, because we didn't have
so much shit going on.
We didn't have a huge list of all the jiu-jitsu events, so we were trying to figure out. We really cover the major jiu-jitsu events or the ones that we could find, because we didn't have like a list of like some of the smaller events that we cover on the show now that we enjoy. We just didn't know they were happening. They weren't broadcast well. They weren't advertised well.
And by the way, now we're starting to put that list on our website,
yeah.
grapplingrewind.com.
That was news.
Yep. And on top of that, we are also going to start putting it up on Reddit as well.
Yeah,
so
we're going to start maintaining the RBJJ event list on the sidebar there. It's also on our website. We're in the process of doing some upgrades to the website. I want to basically set it up eventually. If I say it on the podcast, I have to do it. Set it up eventually so that if you look at the website, it'll have a link to the event. It'll have a link to where it is streamed. It'll have some more information about the event, so you can go to thegrapplingrewind.com, and it'll be a one-stop shop for, hey, I want to watch jiu-jitsu this weekend. If I have access to Fight Pass and Flow Grappling, like, it'll link right to where you can watch whatever event is on that list, so that you can not have to search around. You can just go to the website, click on the events, and they're there. So we're in the process of doing that. So I forgot what we were talking about before. Oh, yeah. So when we started the show, we were trying to cover a bunch of different stuff. And then we very quickly realized that there's so much jiu-jitsu to cover on a weekly basis that we couldn't cover judo. We couldn't cover sambo. We couldn't cover, as many of the other, like, stuff like belt throw, like other sports that were not jiu-jitsu related. And also, I don't really have the knowledge of judo that I would like to have to really be able to talk about it on an informed level, as well as try to do all the jiu-jitsu stuff. So we kind of shifted away from that initially, but now that Fight to Win's bringing it back, it gives me an excuse to spend a little more time watching more judo. We also have the event list now. We have some other stuff in place to let us potentially do a little more coverage of judo, and Fight to Win gives us an excuse to do that. So I'm super excited about this. I love watching judo, and so it's fun.
Absolutely. Let's get on to the brown belts.
On to the brown belt results.
Alex Yablong defeats Eric Coe by decision.
This was fun, because Alex Yablong, earlier in the day, he was like the second match, I think, of the evening. He won a spot to compete against Eric Coe because Eric Coe's opponent had gotten injured like that morning.
Oh, shit.
And so the Eric Coe is initially, and Eric Coe's had the title belt before at Fight to Win. I actually trained with him when I was out in Colorado almost 2 years ago. And he's had the belt at welterweight before Fight to Win. And so Alex Yablong basically won a spot because he won his match to compete against Eric Coe for the vacant belt since the champion went to black belt.
And so he becomes
the Fight to Win brown belt welterweight champion. So it's cool to see a guy like Yablong win that. And it's funny, him and Coe actually train together like every Friday. So he goes, this Friday is no different. And they did an interview with him after, and it was really cool to hear, like, yeah, I mean, we train together every Friday anyway, so this one's no different. And it was cool.
So we have Ricky Furioso Johnson defeating Matt Sierra by decision. Walker Madden defeats Justin Coburn by heel hook. Casey Molina defeats James Mikas by decision.
And that was Fight of the Night for the brown belts.
Joshua Sauceda defeats David Wenig by decision. Jeremy Hastings defeats Shane Lemister by armbar.
And that was Submission of the Night for the brown belts.
Heather Woods defeats Sharika Long O'Neill by decision. Casey Pratt defeats Brett Hernandez by decision. Daymar Ortiz defeats Jeremy Winia by decision. Alex Yablong defeats Jalen Reyes by decision.
On to the purple belt results.
Trevor Palmers defeats Dan Dykeman by split decision.
And he becomes the Fight to Win purple belt featherweight champion.
Clay Wilmer defeats Jared Ferrara by rear naked choke. Nick Gomez Ramos defeats Samuel Castro by armbar. Brian Brescia defeats Carlos Garcia by decision. Jonathan Wilson defeats Kit Krupp by Darce.
That was Fight of the Night for the purple belts.
Christina Lebsek Ogden defeats Shannon Sin by decision. Rustin Hughes defeats Anthony Werner by heel hook.
And that was Submission of the Night for the purple belts. I want to talk about this matchup. So Rustin Hughes is one of the top para-athletes for jiu-jitsu in the United States. He's basically, he is an amputee from the knee down on one of his legs. And I was fascinated. Again, Emil and I watch a ton of jiu-jitsu. I was fascinated to watch Rustin pass the guard here.
Yeah. So this was interesting. And, so Rustin is trying to pass close guard for a lot of the match. Anthony Werner is trying to keep him in close guard, and Rustin, because he only has, basically his thigh down to his thigh on one of his legs, he's able to, if he's backs up and creates enough space, just step that leg through into sort of like I would call it a knee cut, but it's more like just stepping into an outside ashigarami.
And then the other one he can also do is he can just start to leg drag.
Yep.
Without having to clear the leg. It's amazing, and I watched this matchup a couple times just to see it, because he can just step through the guard with his leg because there's no leg entanglement there to have. There's nothing that gets in the way. He can just step out. And I was watching this going, I have no idea how I would deal with that, because there's very few times that I watch jiu-jitsu and come across and look at a problem I've never seen. It happens with guys like Keenan with a lot of the intricate lapel stuff, but in Nogi, it's very rare I ever see something that I'm like, I've never seen that before. That's really interesting. It's there's stuff it's an interesting grip, it's a different grip, but nothing like, how would I deal with this guy trying to pass my guard? It was fascinating to watch. I highly recommend you go back and watch this, because it's just great technique for passing, and it's something you never see, because I don't know how you would ever be able to address this position. And so these are the matches that I like watching just before you see stuff you've never seen before. And it's outstandingly exciting.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how people who are amputees sort of adapt their own game. My first assistant instructor, the person who was my assistant instructor, was an amputee of the arm down, or from the elbow down on the arm, and he had a completely different game. You know, like his game was completely different. He like some moves he just did not want to bother trying to adapt, and some he adapted beautifully and like developed his own game.
And we've seen Fight to Win showcase para athletes before. With Keith Miner has, again, an amputated arm, and they have an amazing depth of different techniques and different ways. Like then some ones they've adapted, and other ones they just have decided not to adapt, and it's just fascinating to me. So he steps through to the outside Ashigarama, and he's starting to do what looks to be like a clover leaf, and eventually he passes the arm over. And Emil and I had a disagreement here. It's listed as heel hook in the results. I think it's actually a knee bar because Anthony kind of verbally taps like while they're doing some leg pummeling, and
it looked like he was getting sort of an inside heel hook position, and there was like a little bit of kind of like torque on the knee there.
Okay.
But it was lateral torque. It wasn't like it wasn't a straight on like knee bar torque. So it's like 6 1/2 dozen in the other. Like.
Yeah, Anthony had socks on this match too. I thought it was interesting.
Yeah.
But again, the whole match is really interesting. I highly go back and recommend watching this because you don't see legit really cool stuff like this in jiu-jitsu very often, so it's a cool showcase matchup for para jiu-jitsu.
So we have Richard Vigil defeating Dan Becker by decision, Sean Spear defeating Andy Binall by decision, Kristen Reyes defeating Levi Rowe by rear naked choke, Eric Sains defeating Lawrence Beek by decision, Carlos Espinoza defeating Nicholas Burgol by head and arm choke, Shane Figliola defeating Eli Court by decision, Matt Paul defeating Tim Colvin by armbar, Edward Johnson defeating Jameel Coleman by heel hook.
And that does it for the results of Fight to Win 101. Anything else to talk about, Emil?
No.
All right, awesome. So moving into the preview section, we're going to preview Copa Podio Season 6, the Lightweight Grand Prix lineup. So for Copa Podio, if you don't know, typically what they do for the Grand Prix events is they do a green group and a red and a yellow group, and then it's a round-robin format, much like Kasai does, much like King of Mats does.
So 2 4-man round robins.
Yeah.
And then, the top 2 people will or the top person will go on into the finals.
Yeah, against the other side of the bracket, basically.
Right.
So right now, I don't have a list of exactly who was on which side, so we're going to read through the athletes. Again, it's a lot of fun. It usually streams on their website, like Fight Terra TV, and I think it's like a $10 pay-per-view or something, but usually it's really interesting. This event has a lot of big-name guys on it, so really exciting.
So this is 77 kilograms or about 170 pounds. Athletes, we got Tommy Langacker, who's been a fucking monster. Absolutely entertaining. Definitely a huge person to watch.
And BJJ Heroes has a really great article on this, and that's actually where we got the athlete list because they put out with all the information about all the athletes. So if you're looking to find some more information on it, there it is.
Yep. We have Jan Lucas. We have Luan Carvalho, Johnny Ludero, Levi Jones, who's also just been fucking on a tear recently.
We just saw him on...
he defeated Lucas Lepre at Euros.
Yes.
And that was also where I think... Oh, no, it wasn't Tommy on a tear at Euros. It was his training partner. Espen.
Espen. I was not going to come up with the name.
Yeah.
Glad you come up with the name.
Fucking Levi Jones. Holy shit. Upsetting Lucas Lepre at Euros. We have Tarek Hopstock. We have Youssef Kaddour. We have Diego Pato. We have Darag O'Connell.
He's Irish. It's an Irish name.
Yep. Pedro Rocha is the last of the 8.
So, again, go through all these guys. Again, Copa puts together a pretty stacked list of guys on their events. So, it's usually some real fun stuff to watch. Yep, he has streaming location. It's Fight Terra TV, February 16th. Starts at 3 p.m. local time. It's Rio de Janeiro. So, whatever time zone that is, I think it's within a couple hours of us. So, that's that.
Yeah, sweet.
So on to our preview of Fight to Win 102 in Rio Rancho, New Mexico. It is main evented by a black belt super heavyweight gi title match, Muhammad Ali versus Max Jimenez.
Yeah, Muhammad Ali is the fucking current IBJJF heavyweight world champ.
In the gi. And Max Jimenez is the number 4 ranked IBJJF heavyweight in the gi.
Enough said. That's gonna be fucking fire, man.
It's gonna be great, dude. We haven't seen Ali in a little bit, so I love watching Ali because he's got that super aggressive stand-up judo game, and Max Jimenez is a big dude. So I heard this
gonna be fireworks.
matchup a couple weeks ago, or when I was looking through, upcoming matchups. I was like, oh shit, this is gonna be great. So the next matchup is a 185-pound black belt gi match.
Jesse Jaquez versus Gustavo Arujo.
180-pound black belt judo match.
Garrett Aldrich versus Jesse Butler.
170-pound no-gi bout.
Aaron Pearls versus Nate Harris.
160-pound black belt gi match.
Joel Whitney versus Henry Martinez.
140-pound black belt no-gi bout.
Benjamin Sandoval versus Jacob Benitez.
200-pound brown belt no-gi.
James Gifford versus Troy Everett.
Yep. So
Jesus, Troy's fucking super.
Dude, he was on Hawaii. He's on this next one. He's in New Mexico. He might also be in Albuquerque, but I always forget. Watch him for the walkouts and the other fun that he brings. Dude, the walkouts begin more and more exciting. There were a bunch of walkouts on Fight to Win 101. They were super exciting. So,
yeah.
So looking forward to this event.
Yeah.
Should be a lot of fun. Anything else, Emil?
That's it.
All right. Should be happening on
a lot of other matches.
Oh yeah, there's a ton. We usually on the show, just because the length of the show, we usually don't preview through the brown belts and the purple belts and the kids and teens. But it's usually a 35 fight card, and happen on February 16th.
It's gonna be fucking awesome.
Mm-hmm. So Brothers Jiu-Jitsu, James Partridge is also having a 145-pound event. Can't find a lot of information on it, but it usually streams on James Partridge's Facebook page. So take a look at that.
Occurring on February 16th.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff on February 16th. So looking through the events we got, I think everything happens on the 16th. Copa Podio Season 6 on the 16th. Fight to Win's on the 16th. And Brothers 8-Man is on the 16th as well. Then the following week, we got Combat Jiu-Jitsu Fight Night. We have BJJ Stars, which is a new organization that has a stacked lineup. Grapple Fest 4, finishers. Invitational 8 is happening at the end of the month. We also have Atos versus GF Team. That's the Flow Grappling Super Series. And then that rounds out the month for the month of February. So some super exciting stuff happening this next week and the following weeks for the rest of the month. And I am super excited about it.
I'm fucking pumped.
What's your week look like, Camille?
Are
you back in
all
next
over,
week?
I'm back and forth between New York City right now, and like it's just it's fucking crazy. Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be crazy for a while. I'm looking forward to eventually getting back into a fucking schedule.
Awesome.
But yeah, it's been a fucking awesome week. Definitely Rewind recommends the entire fucking ADC West Coast Trials finals.
We're trying to get a list. I'm going to try to edit an article on the website this week with Emil's help of all the lists of Rewind recommends that he has so far, so that you can go through and click on those. I also have a couple other articles we're working on right now. So the website is up. Finally, has the list of events, has links to the podcast, has links to other cool stuff, the articles we have written on Kasai 4, and then some other articles that we're looking at putting up there soon as well. So hopefully we become the one-stop shop for if you're looking to basically watch professional jiu-jitsu or broadcast level events. That's our hope moving forward. So if you got anything you want to see on there, let us know. I think that's it.
If you have an event, let us know.
Oh yeah, if you have an event, please let us know. This is all kind of in the outro of the show that we're gonna put in there at the end. But
and give us a shout out on social media too.
That would be great as well.
Yeah.
All right. So as always, I'm your host Maine.
I'm your host Emil.
We are the Grappling Rewind. We'll see you on the mats. If you like the show, please consider sharing it on Facebook with the folks at your gym. It's the best way that we grow the show, and we really appreciate it. You can reach out to us on email.
We also have Instagram. We have Facebook. We have Twitter. We have Google+.
Until that shuts down.
We have a website.
If you have an event you would like to have us cover, please let us know. If you have a name, like most people do, and you'd like to have us stop butchering it,
let us know.
Reach out to us. The show is also available on YouTube, Spotify, in addition to iTunes and every other podcast service. We very much appreciate your time, and thank you.